This is the Songwriting Mind, a program exploring the personal depths of creativity, stories, and craft that define songwriting. In this episode, we'll hear from T-Bird, singer-songwriter on the Oregon coast who performs with her band T-Bird and the Other Birds. Enjoy.
I have 5 siblings, and a couple of them we would often write really weird little, silly ditties in 3-part harmony, and everybody had their own part, and you had to make sure you didn't sing the other person's part. We loved doing that kind of really nerdy stuff, but about stupid things. Like one was about like the gingerbread man, and one was about the Target sign on the Target store. Anyway. But that was how it started when I was probably, 10 or something. I was like the ringleader and was like, okay, we're gonna do this together. My family was kind of like the Sound of Music, like everybody was singing all the time and everybody had to do their harmony parts. So singing was always a big part of my life. And then it wasn't until I was older, 20s, and I was traveling a lot by myself. So it was like driving long distances in the car that was when I really started writing songs that I put into a song for real and put a guitar part to and remembered them. So that was, I would say my actual, what I would call real songwriting didn't start till I was in my 20s. Actually, it started in college. I would write songs for my friends as a thing, for their birthdays. One of them I do remember. There was sequels to it, and they always had the same chorus, but lots of different verses. I think for me, when I started traveling, you're just in so many new places, and it made me find or look for meaning more in everything rather than just you're doing your everyday life. And this is the stuff you see all the time. It was you're going to new places and meeting new people. And I was always thinking and looking at things in a different way than I usually did. And so I think that's why for me, that was when I started writing songs more, was looking for meaning and thinking about things more deeply than normal. Also had a lot of time to process that while driving from place to place. Spent a lot of time driving and just having new experiences that I felt like I wanted to express. So I did write songs about some of the people that I met sometimes and the stories they would tell me. And there's some songs about experiences or people that when I sing them, I still see the place that I was when I wrote it. Some of the ones traveling were actually taking people's stories and putting them right into a song. And those people I will never see again. And so they definitely don't know that that's a song, and then I'm sure will never will. I did write a song about this guy I met earlier this year where I was singing first person about these crazy stories that he told me. It was an old pro surfer who was going to make me a surfboard. That's probably never going to happen, but I went to his house to give him a deposit and be like, you're going to make me this board, right? And he was like, yeah. But then he also proceeded to tell me his entire life story, including, all of his Bigfoot encounters and his sightings of aliens and all these crazy paintings that he's made. It was a wild experience. So on the way home, I wrote this whole song because I was just that was crazy. So yeah.
Some eyes see more, some hands hold more. sky and the stone, and they're moving with the water. It's a world like no other. Would you listen as I try to share the beauty I have known all along? And I've seen beings that you will never know. I've seen lights in the sky and the sea, and they're reaching out to me, and they're moving right through me. Would you listen as I try to share the beauty I have known when I'm not alone? Some eyes see more, some hands hold more, and some lives know more, some minds hold more than this world can hold.
There's other people I write songs about that are like me processing relational things that have happened. You know, like there's a song I wrote about my sister who we'd been traveling together, and then she decided to go to the Peace Corps, and it was like this like feeling of loss that I'd never had, where like my best companion was leaving me, and I was on Orcas Island like walking by myself through the woods, and that's when I like this song came into my head. And so like every time I sing it, I still like see the trees that are, you know, so like that kind of stuff is cool about writing while you're traveling, is it like is kind of connected to places, even if it's not what the song's about, you know. I don't know if I actually, come to think of it, have ever told her that song's about her, but she's definitely heard the song. And I've also written songs about people that are like pretty angry, maybe mean. Just like another way of processing like a relational thing that happened, and I can't talk to this person, but I can put it in a song. And some of those people have definitely heard those songs, and I don't know if they have any inkling that it's about them or not. And I've always wondered that, and like it almost is like makes me chuckle, like, they don't know this is about them. And I've also definitely had people ask me, like living in a small town too, they're like, is this song about this? And usually they're wrong, which is great because then I can say no. There have also been times though that thinking about certain people as I'm writing helps kind of influence the style or the feeling, because I'm trying to personify like a certain vibe, I guess, like that story I told about the guy I met who was a surfer and all his crazy stories. Like the way I wrote that song was like I wanted it to sound like him, kind of. A couple summers ago, I had at least 5 different friends that were like dealing with a lot of shit in their lives, like relational stuff falling apart or health issues or depression. And yeah, so I was just like kind of feeling pretty heavy with that, because it was like a lot of close friends just like really struggling throughout a series of different car rides and sitting down with my guitar and thinking about kind of also other people in the past that have been close and had similar issues. Ended up writing a song that it was very influenced by all these different people. So it has like an introduction, and then it has a part that like has like a vocal part that was kind of influenced by one of my friend's styles, and then some lyrics that were influenced by another friend's music, and then chord progression that was kind of stolen from a song I was working on with a friend that he never ended up finishing. So I stuck it in there, and then had another part that was, I think, another chord progression from an old song I had written with a friend who then, had a bunch of shit happen and he stopped playing music, but I remembered this progression that we had put in a song, and I took it and stuck it in this one. So it's got all these different musical things that are taken from and inspired by these friends who were had all had a bunch of things that were, that they were struggling with. So to me, it was cool, and it was a way I don't usually write songs, where it had all these different parts that were kind of mashed together, but I really enjoyed that process and felt like I came out with something that was really different than normal. And I did end up sharing it with a couple of those friends too. That was hey, I kind of wrote this for you. And that was another good way of connecting with people and sharing in the struggle, even though it's you can't, you can't help them necessarily. They've got to go through it on their own, but just to be I'm here, I'm thinking about you, trying to exist in that space with you. And music is my way of doing that usually.
Well, you know that most times everything just works, but I know that this time you got a whole world hurt, and it isn't your fault. Sometimes we just fall a little too hard, and now all that shit stacked up as if you gave a fuck. And as far as you could tell, you died and gone to hell. But it won't be long, it's just a moment in a sea of time. I feel like going under, let the waves wash over and over till it's over and I'm over it. Now I see that all I thought I knew was like a flower that blooms on a good day, and it's not a good day today. No, it's not a good day. And crawl out of your skin and you will find out what's inside. And there is always something you don't know, 'cause you could stay in the dark and ain't nobody gonna see you. And you can say what you want, and ain't nobody gonna hear you. And how was I supposed to know that everything that I was told was make-believe and truth? Well, now I see it right. Just fall a little too far, and now all that shit stacked up as if you gave a fuck, and as far as you could see, it's how it's gonna be. But it won't be long, it's just a moment in a sea of time. I feel like going under, let the waves wash over and over till it's over and I'm over it. Now I see that all I thought I knew was like a flower that blooms on a good day, and it's not a good day today. No, it's not a good day. crawl out of your skin and you will find out what's inside. And there is always something you don't know, you know. And come into the other, let it take you for a ride. There is always something to hold on to, 'cause you could stay in the dark and ain't nobody gonna see you. And you can say what you want and ain't nobody gonna hear you. And how was I supposed to know that everything that I was told was make-believe and truth? When now I see it right, and now I see it right.
Normally, historically, and also still normally, I will have a melody come into my head while I'm driving, while I'm walking, while I'm doing something where my mind has a little bit of freedom. And that's where I start when I go to write a song, where it's like I've got this melody. And a lot of times I have turned them into full songs before I've sat down with an instrument, where I'll have a chorus, I'll have a verse, and then I'll go down and be like, okay, now I need to sit with my guitar and figure out how to play this and what chords go behind this melody that I've created. And that's how I've normally done it. I think I've never, maybe almost never, just played chords and then decided to write a song. That's I've never just written the music first and then decided to write a melody over it. That's not usually, I have done that in parts where I'll write a bass line, or I know I want to start with these couple chords, but then the rest of the song kind of comes as I start singing. So I feel my music is very vocally driven. A lot of times when I first come up with a melody, it has words attached to it. I would say 80% of the time. And a lot of times that ends up being, it is kind of the concept of the song, that comes together, the first melody line and what I'm writing the song about often come out together from my head. Sometimes the words, I call them placeholder words. They're just the words that my brain put to this melody, but I'm those are definitely not going to be in the song because they suck, kind of a thing. And then if that happens, sometimes I just get stuck for a while and how am I going to get rid of those words? And usually I found if I just go with them and try not to think about it too much and write something random, it kind of just gets it flowing to a place where I can come up with the concept that I actually want. So if I don't have the concept come out with the melody, which I usually do initially, then the placeholder word thing happens, and sometimes a couple of those words stay because my brain just latches onto them, and they're the words are attached to the melody and there's nothing I can do to separate them. I'm I'm struggling with that a little bit with the song I'm working on this week, where I'm these are the words that came out with this melody, but I don't really know what they mean. And now I'm writing a song around them. And so it's going to be a song that I don't really know what it's about. And maybe that's fine. Or sometimes it develops a meaning as I continue going down that path. It has often a couple different paths that it'll take when I'm writing lyrics. But a lot of times it's I have the concept. I start with the melody that has what I want to write about, and then I go from there. And I don't usually do a whole lot of lyric editing. I'll change a word here or there to make it flow better. But a lot of the times I don't focus too much on that. It just kind of happens. But I definitely have had some songs that I like thought about a lot, and they took a lot longer to finish because I wanted them to like be more, and like it just was like it required more thought. I've also like dug up some songs from the past that I've like crossed a bunch of stuff out and like wrote them again, basically. Or some songs that were like more difficult topics to write about. I'd like write about it in a way that was like way too raw and then go back and like cross a bunch of things out and be like, make this music now, you know? I think it happens a lot of different ways just depending on what kind of a song it is. I do write a lot of just like prose or poetry or journaling. And some of those have turned into songs. But a lot of it is just like, I feel like the more I write in general, the better it is for me. Like emotionally processing things, and then also like just keeping the words flowing, that when I go to write a song, like it's just a practice you already have done, is like you're writing constantly. And there have been times in my life where I kind of stopped doing that. And that's like also often coincided with where I haven't written very many songs. And I think it's just where you like kind of get out of practice of like getting the words out of your head and onto a paper or into a way that can be shared. I do write a lot. I just wrote one called Rainbow Sand that I really liked. I was walking on the beach and just noticing all the tiny bits of plastic that wash up in the storms, and was like, you know, maybe someday people will just think the sand is colorful. So I wrote a song about that just a couple of weeks ago.
Mostly white and sometimes blue, a little bits of green and yellow too. Ooh. And once in a while, a little bit of pink or red. I don't think I've ever seen purple. It's a rainbow sand. How long till no one understands? It didn't used to be this way. It didn't have to be this way. The children think when I tell them how it used to be, only brown. Would they frown? Oh, how boring. Only brown. It's a rainbow sand. How long till no one understands? It didn't used to be this way. It didn't have to be this way. Ooh.
That's like what music is for me, is like processing the things that are going on inside of me. That's also like why I think in the last like 10 years before I started doing this song a week thing, which was like, I guess a year ago now that we first started it, would be like, whenever it happens, it happens. I don't know if I ever sat down and was like, I'm going to write a song now, or I'm going to try. Like maybe I did a couple times, but status quo was like, when I feel inspired, when I have a melody come to my head, then I'll like write a song out of that. And I wasn't super intentional about it. And it would usually be spurred along by times where I was like really sad or really depressed, or someone had really hurt me. And those were the kinds of things that like made me write. And I did have somebody come up to me in the middle of one of my shows and say, I'm getting really depressed. Can you play something different? And that was like, I was like, no, I'm sorry. This is all I have. This like Songwriters Challenge has been really good because it's made me just like think about writing songs all the time. Like to me, it almost reminds me of like when I was traveling and everything had meaning that I was looking at because I was traveling and in new places, and like that's where my mind was. And now I'm like, all right, I need to write a song this week. Like, let me be inspired by everything. Everything around me has meaning. And so it's made me just think about writing songs differently and not being such like only about processing what's happening in my life. And it's been more, even if like that did sometimes mean like writing songs about other people that were in my life, you know, that was like definitely a part of it. But like this has made me think about like writing songs about lots of things. Like when I was backpacking and I didn't have an instrument, but I had to write a song because it was going to be due like the day after I got home. I like wrote in my little notebook and like had a melody that I recorded onto my phone, and it was like inspired by looking up into the night sky while I was like out in the wilderness. And that was like not something I think I normally would have done without this deadline and challenge to be like, you need to do this every week. So it's been a really, really helpful thing for me. Usually when I write a song, I'm like, this is my favorite song ever, like right when I write it. And then sometimes that lasts. There's definitely been songs I felt that way about. And then like a couple weeks later, I'm like, that song is terrible. But like, no matter if it happens that way or if I continue to love it, I definitely feel like a strong connection to all the music that I create because it's like coming from usually like my own experiences or feelings. Like I have said, like processing things that are going on in my life. And it's just like the way that I express myself the most. So I feel like it's a part of me, I guess. I feel like for me and a lot of the other musicians I know, it's like a compulsion where like you just like, you have to do it. There's not like a question like, why do I do this? It's like, it just needs to happen. I remember having a conversation with some friends. The first band I was ever in was pretty silly. It was called the Salty Oats. And some of the other girls were like, I don't know, like if we have time for this, or it was like the sun was setting and someone had a bad day and they were like, I just want to go like watch the sunset because like for me that like helps me like feel better. And I was like, well, the music is my sunset. That's like how I feel better about things. So it was like my way of like connecting with like the way she was feeling and trying to be like, you don't have to do this, but I do. I often really like performing just because it's like, I don't know, a way to share this thing I've created, which I think is really cool. And I like want people to hear it. I like performing with my band a lot more than I like performing by myself because I just feel a lot more exposed. And with like the full group, there's just like more, I don't know, energy, I guess, behind me. Some favorite songs I play with my band, which I wouldn't really play alone. Yeah, there's this one called Feel This Way that's about people really struggling in a situation, and then they just kind of take it out on those around them, not understanding that like everybody can feel like that. Something that happens happens to all of us.
No moon out tonight, can't see your own face, but you can see dark clouds coming, they're pouring out rain, and my head's above the water, but the water is high. I won't let you take me down, but I know you'll try. And I will walk through that valley of death that you leaving behind you for all of the rest of us. And I know you said, but that don't make it right, 'cause you think that you are the only one who could feel this way. And tell me, who did you think I was? And there's things that I can't see, and words I don't hear, but I can still feel them hurt me the way you want it to be. But I'm standing on this ground, look you right in the eye. No, you can't make me change, but I know you'll try. And I will walk through that valley of death that you leaving behind you for all of the rest of us. And I know you said, but that don't make it right, 'cause you think that you are the only one who could feel this way. And tell me, who did you think I was? I'm not that good, I'm not that strong, and I don't know what you're trying to do, but I know it ain't working.
Thank you for listening to the Songwriting Mind. This interview with T-Bird was recorded in Port Orford, Oregon on December 11th, 2024. You can find her music and writing on Tumblr under Unidentified Flying T-Bird. This podcast was produced by me, Eric Princess Dragon. If you enjoyed this episode, please follow us, give it a rating, and share it with others. Peace.